Let me show you my countryside through these old headlights. We can take this road as far as you want to go. I'll show you how a country mile can take us all night. Feeling higher than a bull's tail up an old dirt road. I ain't gonna run or hide. We can let the fire burn wild. That's just my countryside.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. I feel like it's been a hot minute. We have had a massive heat wave. Let me know if that's you and where you're at. It has been hot, and so it's been really difficult to get out here and do the videos. Granted, I did do a canning video inside because we had to do our can up our carrots. So watch for that video. It's gonna be out soon. I need to finish editing, but that will be coming out soon. So anyhow, today we have a little bit of overcast. The chickens are actually out for the most part, at least a lot more than they were the last several days. So it's nice to kind of see them out. We really need it to rain. There's a lot of crops in North Carolina, and let me know where you're from if crops are failing where you're at too. It's been about, I'd say, a month without any rain. So it's very sad, I guess is the word, to hear that farmers' crops are failing, which is all the more reason why what we do here on our homestead is so crucial and important. When there are crops failing and shortages in the grocery stores, that sort of thing, hopefully it doesn't, but it just kind of takes the pressure off of, number one, my family, and having that reassurance that we would be okay-ish in a situation where there was a little bit more of a shortage. It also takes and makes things a lot easier for you if you do not garden, because there is not as much strain from people like us putting that strain on the system and the inventory that the stores are going to carry. So anyhow, lots of great benefits for why we do what we do. Obviously we're not going to be like fully sustainable. We don't produce anything but chickens at this point, which is strategic. I'm very, very strategic in that. I do not want to place animals here, and I've said it before in other videos. So I don't want to have animals here that we would not really be able to sustain, that our property would struggle to be able to feed and nourish. So that's why we have chickens right now. We have plenty of bugs. We have plenty of forage that they can get if, say, things were to go a little bit south, to where we wouldn't have to necessarily go to the store to grab some feed. They would probably lay less than what they're laying now, but granted, they would be okay. So anyhow, that's probably for another video, but here you go. Today, right now, I planted some melons here in these 2 rows on each side of this bird bath. So we're gonna get those with some straw on them so that it kind of locks in that moisture, especially with the hot temperatures. And we're just now getting to July and August, which is like our big hot months. So that's gonna help keep in some of that moisture. Kind of baby little seedlings right now. I just sowed those, I would say a week ago I sowed those. So we're gonna get those mulched, and then the boys are in the back of the garden back there. They are putting some cardboard down to kind of suffocate some weeds that we have back there, which we have to be careful not to suffocate our strawberries. And then we have some wild passion flower. They're like little apricots is what they are, and they kind of grow like a vine. Those are native and wild here, and so I've just kind of let them do their thing. Number one, passion flower is medicinal, but number two, they're gorgeous, and number three, they are edible. So I don't really like to get rid of anything that's going to be producing fruit that not only we can eat, but for our animals. So the other thing that we're doing, I did grab some plants from the store. My peppers have kind of struggled a bit, and I think it's because number one, I had too much rain when we did get a lot of rain. Now we don't have hardly any rain, although it is on irrigation. So they're starting to produce and flower now. I did go to the store and get a few little bit bigger plants that are pretty established, and so I'm just going to kind of plug those in just to kind of give us a boost. I do like to make cowboy candy, and I make salsas and lots of different things. I like to freeze peppers, and so that is one thing that I really don't want to be low on this year. So I did grab those. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and get started, and then we'll catch back up with you.
This was everything I wanted. And I gave everything I've got. Well, there's not much that I can say to make you change your mind. You drifted further every day.
Is this the second bale?
There's only one bale on here.
That means,
This is number two.
how many bales is this? Mommy,
It cooled off a little bit. Thank you.
I don't want to tell you.
So good.
I will go with this. I think we need a whole bale.
Careful where you're stepping. Don't step in there.
I'm not on it, Mom.
Okay, so there they are, mulched. This bed is about 30 feet by, I want to say about 20 feet across. So one bale of straw is enough. So if you guys are doing this, then one bale should be plenty, depending on how thick you're doing. So the other reason, not only to keep the moisture in, that's one reason to do the mulching. The other reason is the weed suppression. Now, it's not going to be perfect. Excuse me, my nose bending over like that. Kind of everything drains. So the second reason that you would want to do a mulch is weed suppression. Now, it's not going to keep everything out, but it will help to cut down on some of those weeds that would normally grow if, say, it was just bare soil. The other reason why I like to mulch, especially the melons, so in this bed we have watermelon, cantaloupe, and honeydews. So with those, I have gotten some of those, like those little plastic holders that you can put underneath of melons to keep them from off of the ground, because sometimes they can rot if they're just sitting on the bare soil. So this way I don't have to necessarily use those holders. I forget what they're called. I can link them in the description if I remember. But yeah, so this way it kind of keeps them dry. So they're not sitting on that bare soil. They're not needing to have one of those mechanisms underneath to keep them off. And so this is kind of like a three-prong approach to especially doing melons, but you can do this for any plants that you have. You can definitely use straw. I would not recommend using hay just because there's seeds in there, and especially if it's on that like third cutting, which is later in the season where the grasses, the summer grasses, are starting to go to seed. So third cutting hay is great if you, like with the chickens and what we do, we kind of move them around, not these guys, but the one out in the pasture, that chicken coop. the rotational. So if you're rotationally moving your animals, a third cutting is really amazing to have. So I think this year, once we get to that third cutting of hay that's available to us locally, we'll probably stock up on that, just so that in the spring, once it's time to do the seed sowing, then we'll go ahead and just kind of use that as we move the chickens through and kind of do it that way. It really cuts down on having to like buy bulk seeds, and then you just never know with especially slanted sloped land if that's even going to take. And when we move them anyways, doing that hay with that seed is just gonna give you greater chance to be able to grow grass. So this second bale here, we'll end up putting on those back beds to kind of help suppress some of the weeds. That area is really bad, so with the grasses, so we're probably gonna have to use like double or triple layer of that mulch to put on those beds. This bed here is kind of the same way. There's like tons of grasses that have grown in there. I was kind of waiting to do my corn in that bed, kind of like I did here. It would just kind of mirror image the corn. But I'm gonna have to kill those weeds or go through and pull those up before I go ahead and do my corn. So everything else is kind of coming along. We definitely have some butternut squashes that are coming in. You can kind of see the yellows on the other side of the sunflower. There's another one. There is I think that's a straight neck squash right there. We also have some, I think vine borers got to that guy. You see them all wilted. Those dang things. I probably will leave that to let them at least just hopefully stay on that one plant, because if I pull it, I'm not sure if there's going to be more in the soil, then they'll want to move to other plants. So I probably will leave that. Let me know if you are experienced with doing squash and vine borers, if that's a mistake, but that's kind of my thought process with it. And I think they got another one over here too, so you can kind of see through there. There's actually a Coco Zell zucchini on that one that I need to pull. Oh, there's another one underneath here. Look at that. Everything's coming along. So I think the garden could use a drink, but I definitely think that those two, the vine borers got to those. So got my asparagus here and my weedy strawberry beds. The ants have kind of taken these over, so I've just kind of like left them alone. What is that? Something with like, looks like a tomato. There's a tomato growing there. Anyways, the good, bad, and the ugly here. So you can't win them all. Some things are just you're gonna have to figure out what you're gonna let go and what you actually want to be a control freak about, because it'll drive you crazy.
Oh!
Did you really?
Right, Mason? Yeah. Mason, the
Right here, everybody smile.
It's more tanky.
So on that note about the weeds and kind of just letting some things go, I think that's a good example for life. Like, not to get too like philosophical on you, but like I remember spending time in the garden, and I was so frustrated that all these weeds, and you do all these precautions and you pour so much into your garden, and you just want things to be pretty and perfect and yada yada yada, and then I was talking to God, and I was like, you know what? And he said to me, you should be so busy, and not busy like busyness, like to where you're exhausted, but working from a place of rest. But you should be so focused. Focused is probably the better word. But God said you should be so focused on sowing the seeds and growing what you want, that the weeds suppress automatically as a result, that it doesn't even matter. Like, your focus shouldn't be on what's not happening or like what is happening that's negative. It should be on the positive, and you should be so focused on what you want and doing things that are going to provide that and grow those things to where it just doesn't even matter. And I just thought, like, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna focus on that. Granted, I'll probably still have some, but maybe at that point it wouldn't matter if I have some weeds here or there. And like I said, I'm kind of picking my battles here. But I just think that that's just so good for life, that it's like, focus on the good, focus on the positive, focus on how far we've come with this place, that your focus won't even be on what's not taking place that you wish was, or that is taking place that's driving you crazy. Because there's just a lot going on, and there's a lot of good that we have accomplished here, that God has done in and through us and our hands and willing hearts to take a piece of land that was just barren and weedy. And, you know, granted there's animals and stuff, but they're still here. We have 10 acres in the back that those animals are still here. So it's not like, you know, we cleared some area and there's no room for the animals anymore. But we're actually making it to where the deer want to come. We're like seeing deer along this back property line where there's grasses now. You know, so it's just focus on what is good that's happening, and be so focused on doing the good and curating what you want, that the other stuff, it just works out in time, and it just ultimately doesn't matter. So anyway, I'm gonna go inside because I'm sweaty already. Just with doing that little bit, man, it is hot. I'm gonna go inside, kind of cool off, and then we're gonna come back out and do the straw on that back bed that you saw my kids working on. We're gonna do the straw on there, kind of help with a little bit of that weed suppression and keeping the moisture in, especially because we don't have irrigation on that back subplot. And then we'll get those plants planted that we got from the store. So anyways, we'll catch you back here in a little bit. All right, y'all, we're back. We are going to be doing some planting today. I am going to plant the plants that I bought from the store earlier today, a few peppers, and then I'll likely do a different video going over some more of our succession crops that we're going to be doing in our zone, which is zone, it was 7B, now it's technically 8A, but you know how those things go. So we're supposed to actually have everything in the ground and planted out by July 4th. So we have a few days, give or take-ish. So I am going to do a different video going over some of those, kind of what varieties I'm going to do. I should have probably sown some in trays and then waited until it was, you know, time to plant them out. But I did not. So we are going to do some peppers from seed, and as well as some succession sowing of like some squashes and pumpkins and things like that. So if you're interested in the varieties, I'll do a second video and then we'll post that out so that you can know. And some of you guys that are a little bit more further north, that are not as south as I am here in the North Carolina Triad area, you will be able to kind of see what I'm planting out, what I like about it, and then kind of adjust from there if you wanted to try those crops out. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm gonna get my trowel or probably my spade, and then because we have clay soil, so it's a lot easier to use a spade because you have that sharper edge. So anyways, I'm gonna go grab those and then we're gonna get those planted. Okay, so I went and grabbed the plants, and then this is a spade. It is dirty from the last time that I had used it. So I like it because with the clay soil, it has that sharp pointed edge so that you can kind of dig down. It has the nice wide area here that you can plant. So this is, granted it's broken, it's supposed to be a full circle. This is one of those watermelon or melon holders that I have that gets them kind of off the ground so that they don't so that they don't rot. So it kind of lets airflow through and then keeps it from getting too wet. So anyways, if you guys are looking, that's exactly what I used. And so that straw mulch over there would hopefully prevent me from having to use this. So we'll see. I never say never anymore because you just never know, but that's what that looks like. Okay, so here's one that I got. This is an Anaheim chili, and although I love spice, I really wanted to pick varieties that the boys can enjoy also, because they do not like spicy. So if I picked something that was more of a medium to a hot, chances are one of them is bound to say that it's too spicy. So I've learned, even though I like certain things and I do make my cowboy candy, I've learned to keep things on the mild side, and then I can kind of adjust using some chili powder or something that I've kind of that I've gone through and created. I have like this chili powder that I add on dishes to make it more spicy for me. My husband, he used to like spicy, but his stomach cannot tolerate it anymore. So we're gonna go ahead and get this one planted, and then we will start doing our other ones as well. So you can see here that I have to clear away this mulch. I love using this mulch to, number one, add benefits to your soil, but also to keep the moisture in. You can see that it's still moist. So this is compost on top. So this is the Back to Eden garden method, in case you're not familiar. So this is the compost underneath that layer of wood chips. And then as I dig down here, you'll be able to see that lighter brown clay soil in there. So this is not for everyone. Not everybody likes to do this type of method, but I have found, especially in clay soil, that building on top of the soil is our best option, especially with the prices of everything. It actually is, granted there's a cost to even this, it actually seems a lot more cost effective on the scale that we're doing. So I'm gonna go through and kind of dig this out, dig us a nice little hole here. And I also like clay soil because it actually retains moisture more than just regular dirt. So you can see here, it's not powder, and if I were to, it still kind of forms. So it definitely holds that moisture more than just a regular dirt would. And I like planting within this native soil also because it mixes with the compost and it helps the roots to adjust, because otherwise those roots are just going to stay within that compost area instead of venturing out. So they will have adapted to the native soil so that when those roots expand, it'll go out into the native soil. Okay, so I'm gonna loosen these roots here, help them kind of go outward. And then we're gonna place this down here, stand it up, put some of that native soil around with the compost there, kind of mix it up. And we're gonna put our black dirt back first. Get these bottom leaves pinched off here so they can focus on what's going on up here. And you can even take this and crumble it and put it back into the soil, and it'll just compost in place. Okay, so then we're going to cover this back up with our mulch. There we go. One down and about 4 more to go. Okay, so here is a cow horn plant that I'm going to be putting in. It looks like it's 2 down here at the bottom where it was seed sown down here at the base. I'm really hesitant to tear it apart, so I'll likely just plant it as it is and kind of just see what happens. I don't know. Oh yeah, it definitely was 2 plants. I was hesitant, but I am a rebel and I just kind of go for it. So no risk it, no biscuit. So it looks like I'll get 2 so long as this plant survives. They tend to not like root disruption, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that, at least say a prayer. It should be okay. Okay. Take these bottom ones off. We're good to go on that one. There's one on another one on this one. Oh, I dropped it. Careful of the green.
Okay. Bill?
Yep.
Some odd type of flower too.
Pretty.
I don't want it to be that long. This one actually looks pink-ish in the sun. Amazing.
There you go. How pretty. All right, guys, that's gonna be it for us today. I'm gonna go ahead and get dinner started. We're having grilled cheese and tomato soup, one of our favorites. So anyways, thank you for tuning in and we will catch you on the next video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe and please like this video on your way out and you will be updated for future videos. So we'll catch you on the next one. Hi, Nala. Hey, pretty.
Chickens should be scared of them. She's scared of them.
Yeah. Hi, Simby.
Come on, watch.